My name is Daniel Harper, and until the winter of 1890, I believed I knew everything that mattered about my family. I believed my father had been an honest man. I believed he had lived a simple life. And I believed that when he died, he took all his secrets with him. I was wrong. The man standing on my porch looked exhausted. Snow clung to his beard and shoulders. His hands trembled from the cold. But his eyes never left mine. I believe I'm your brother. For several seconds, neither of us moved. The only sound was the wind howling through the open doorway. I tightened my grip on the lantern. My father never mentioned another son. The stranger nodded slowly. I know. Then why should I believe you? He looked down at the worn leather satchel hanging from his shoulder. Because I brought proof. Every instinct told me to send him away. My wife and newborn daughter were upstairs asleep. A dangerous storm surrounded our home. And a stranger had just claimed to be family. But something in his eyes stopped me. Not confidence. Not deception. Pain. Deep, familiar pain. The kind carried by people who have spent their lives searching for something they lost long ago. I stepped aside. Come inside. The warmth of the house seemed to surprise him. He removed his coat carefully, revealing a face weathered by hard years. He looked older than me by perhaps 10 years. 40, maybe 42. His dark hair carried streaks of grey. But it was his eyes that caught my attention. They were the same shade of blue as my father's. The same shade as mine. For the first time, doubt crept into my certainty. My name is Samuel Harper, he said quietly. I'm Daniel. I know. The words felt strange. Too familiar. Too personal. As if he'd said my name 1,000 times before. I poured him a cup of coffee and motioned toward the fireplace. He wrapped his hands around the mug. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, I broke the silence. If what you're saying is true, start at the beginning. Samuel nodded. Then he reached into his satchel. He removed an old photograph, a folded letter, and a silver pocket watch. My breath caught in my throat. I recognized the watch instantly. It had belonged to my father. Where did you get that? Samuel looked down at the watch. He gave it to my mother. I stared at him. My father died 15 years ago. I know. Then explain. He took a deep breath. My mother's name was Eleanor Whitaker. The name meant nothing to me. But the emotion in his voice did. She met your father before he married your mother. I felt the room tilt slightly. No. It's true. He would have told me. Samuel's expression softened. Some secrets are easier to keep than explain. Anger rose inside me. Not because I believed him. Because a small part of me already did. I looked again at the pocket watch. At the photograph. A younger version of my father stood beside a woman I'd never seen before. And between them sat a little boy with bright blue eyes. Samuel. My father left when I was 6, Samuel continued. He promised he'd come back. His voice cracked slightly. But he never did. I looked away. My father had always been a good man. Honest. Hardworking. Kind. The idea that he'd abandoned another family felt impossible. Yet the evidence sat right in front of me. What happened to your mother? Samuel stared into the fire. She waited for him for years. The silence stretched between us. She died 3 winters ago. I'm sorry. He nodded. Before she passed, she gave me the watch and the letter. He handed me the folded paper. The letter was written by your father. My hand shook as I opened it. I recognized the handwriting immediately. It was his. There was no doubt. Eleanor, if you're reading this, then I've failed you in ways I can never repair. I made choices that cost more than I understood at the time. Please tell Samuel that none of this was his fault. He deserves better than the man I've been. If he ever wishes to know where he came from, he can find his family in Montana. Tell him about Daniel. Tell him he has a brother. I read the letter twice. Then a third time. Each word felt heavier than the last. My father had known. All those years. He had known. I set the letter down slowly. Why now? Samuel looked upstairs toward the sound of the floorboards settling. I spent years angry at him. He swallowed hard. After my mother died, I wanted answers. So you came looking for me. I didn't know if you'd want to meet me. His voice was barely above a whisper. But I had to try. The fire crackled softly between us. Outside, the storm continued to rage. Inside, my entire understanding of my family was changing. Part of me felt betrayed. Part of me felt confused. But another part saw something familiar in the man sitting across from me. Loneliness. The same loneliness I'd carried after my father died. The same emptiness I'd felt before Sarah came into my life. A floorboard creaked behind us. I turned to see Sarah standing at the bottom of the stairs, holding baby Hope in her arms. She looked tired but curious. Daniel. I stood quickly. Everything all right? She nodded. I heard voices. I hesitated. How could I explain this? How could I explain something I barely understood myself? I looked at Samuel. Then back at Sarah. This is Samuel. She smiled gently. Hello. Samuel stood awkwardly. Hello. I took a deep breath. He says he's my brother. Sarah's eyes widened slightly. But she didn't look shocked. Or afraid. She simply looked at Samuel. Really looked at him. Then she smiled again. A warm, welcoming smile. The same smile she'd given me the first day she stepped into this house. You must be freezing. Samuel blinked in surprise. Sit down, Sarah said softly. I'll make more coffee. As she walked back toward the kitchen, I realized something important. Family wasn't always simple. It wasn't always perfect. Sometimes it arrived unexpectedly. Covered in snow. Carrying old wounds and difficult truths. But that didn't make it any less real. Samuel looked at baby Hope. His eyes filled with tears. She's beautiful. Sarah carefully placed our daughter in his arms. He held her as if she might break. For several moments, he simply stared at her. Then he whispered something so quietly I almost didn't hear it. I never thought I'd have family. Neither had I. Not like this. Not tonight. Not during a storm that seemed determined to bury the world outside our door. And yet there we were. 3 generations gathered beneath one roof. Bound together by secrets. By loss. And perhaps, if we allowed it, by something stronger. Hope. As midnight faded into morning, Samuel began telling us the rest of his story. And with every word, another piece of my father's life came into focus. A life I'd never known existed. A life that would change our family's future forever. To be continued.